And actually, he is speaking right now. Let's toss things over to him live.
Of California. We've seen wind gusts in Santa Cruz Mountains north of 74 miles per hour, record temperatures that we've experienced, again, not just here in the state of California, but arguably the hottest temperatures we've seen over an extended period of time in close to 70 years on the west coast of the United States, including the headlines that are being garnered around the world with our own Death Valley that may have recorded the hottest temperature in modern recording, period, historically. Some have argued, at least in the last 90 years, but you get the point. 130-degree heat in Death Valley, California yesterday. We are all experiencing rather extraordinary conditions. Those conditions have precipitated, as I said, in a number of new fires in the state of California. Many of those fires under 1,000 acres, most of those fires in a condition where we are confident we'll be able to tackle, we'll be able to block, we'll ultimately be able to suppress them in relatively short order. There are, however, 4 larger fires, active fires in the state of California. The River Fire, which has generated headlines near Monterey County, Ranch Fire and Lake Fire in LA County area. Of course, the Apple Fire, which is substantially contained down in Riverside. You could see the containment in each and every one of those fires, 10% River Fire, Ranch Fire at 19%, Lake Fire, progress being made, 31% containment. Apple Fire, again, substantially contained. Those are active fires under extraordinary conditions, and it's a way of expressing this heat dome, this heat index has put enormous amount of pressure, not just on all of you individually, but also our firefighters that are dealing with extraordinary circumstances, the likes of which we haven't seen in quite some time here in the state of California. So roughly 15 active fires, most smaller brush vegetation fires. These larger fires we continue to actively monitor. I want to thank the administration, the president, their quick support for what we refer to as an FMAG. You see FMAG has been granted by FEMA, our partners in River Fire and the Apple Fire. That will help with our recovery efforts. It will help with remuneration, will help with our ability to distribute emergency resources in real time. Again, the power and potency of these federal partnerships that clearly are at play at times like these. Of course, times like these also have precipitated in pressure on our energy supply across the West, but particularly here in the state of California. It has put pressure that has created some temporary service interruptions that began on Friday, that moved into Saturday, were substantially mitigated on Sunday, but are very likely to continue today, Tuesday, and likely through Wednesday evening. We're going to talk a little bit more about what we anticipate in a moment, but let me give you a size, a scale, the scope of what occurred when I last left you on Friday. I was handed a note during the midst of my presentation about a new flex alert here in the state of California, that we were looking to be short of the megawatts needed to provide uninterrupted service throughout the state of California, about 1,000 megawatts short of where we needed to be. On Saturday, we fell short roughly 450 megawatts. We were able to turn some things on, address some issues with generators, some peaker plants and the like, look at some load strategies to mitigate and obviate the need for further interruptions. As I said, substantially Sunday, we saw only modest or minor interruptions in service in the state of California. Today, we are anticipating substantially greater need for energy, roughly 4,500 megawatts, 4,400 to be precise, short of where we believe we need to be. Now, that's top line, and I'll explain in a moment that we're not just going to accept that as fate. We're going to try to work to reduce the stress and reduce the need to reach that 4,400 megawatt goal through different strategies, demand reduction, different strategies in terms of procurement of new energy and the like. But this next few days, we are anticipating being challenged as it relates to all of these conditions that have precipitated at once in this historic moment. We always have maintained that, golden old control the weather, but you can prepare for the weather events. And let me just make this crystal clear. We failed to predict and plan these shortages, and that's simply unacceptable. I am the governor. I am ultimately accountable and will ultimately take responsibility, have taken, I assure you, responsibility to immediately address this issue and move forward to make sure this simply never happens again and here in the state of California. We began that process again shortly after I left you on Friday, worked throughout the weekend with our Energy Commission, with CAISO, our independent system operator, and the California Public Utilities Commission. We've been working with businesses large and small, and we are working with experts across the spectrum to address the immediacy of this crisis, to understand the conditions that led up to it, and ultimately to address the anxiety that each and every one of you are facing, and to make sure that we never come back into this position again. So right now, California, we are currently and urgently deploying resources across the spectrum, and as I said, working to reduce our energy use. And I'll ask you to participate in that in a moment, but let me first give you an overview of exactly what has occurred and what's happened in terms of those efforts over the course of the last 48 hours. I signed an emergency proclamation that very specifically, very demonstrably and directly shifts energy consumption in this state. We're focused primarily on large energy users, and we are shifting to their backup power so they can utilize that power during the peak hours. We identify the peak hours roughly 3 p.m. About to 9, 10 p.m. Let's say 3 to 10 are the peak hours. I can explain in a moment why those evening hours become the most precious in terms of our concerns, particularly as it relates to sun going down, the utilization of solar, the fact that while we've had some peak gust winds, wind events across the state have been relatively mild. By the way, that's a good thing from a fire suppression perspective. That's an unfortunate moment as it relates more broadly to addressing the episodic nature of the renewable portfolio, of which we are prideful in the state of California, but vulnerable to in these conditions that I have stated. Number two, we have looked to focus on the shared power, the power rather, that we have stored as part of our PSPS protocols in the state. We've talked a lot in the last year about these public power shutoffs and the need to have protocols, not just with PG&E in Northern California, but our other investor-owned utilities, what we refer to as the IOUs. There are new protocols, new procedures that are required of these IOUs as it relates to the utilization of stored energy and power for PSPS. We are going to allow for the utilization for non-PSPS purposes of that stored power pursuant to this emergency proclamation that I've put forward. Accordingly, we're working up and down the state of California. Interestingly, to many of you perhaps, large ships that come in on port, huge container volume, second to none in the United States that comes in and out of the state of California. This is a West Coast port, utilize tremendous amount of energy. And so we're working to reduce the consumption of that energy at the ports to reduce ultimately the amount of energy being pulled off the grid. As I said, we're working with major customers up and down the state and consumers, some of the largest commercial consumers, as well as some well-established consumers that are brands in the state, from Nest to Tesla and others, that have been very helpful and accommodating in terms of putting out messages to their consumer base around the need to reduce usage. We also are working to procure and bring online more energy from LA, DPW or DWP, getting support from the State Water Board as it relates to getting more hydro online. We're looking at peakers. These are our peak generators, called peaker plants, the vernacular of our energy experts, and getting them online, basically putting all our energy to create more energy, all the tools in the toolkit to meet the needs of customers in the next 72 hours. But even with all of that, we are likely to fall short, and we should see some episodic issues as it relates to supplying the coverage that you deserve and you demand. Accordingly, it goes without saying you deserve and also demand what happened and the implications of what this means to the future. And that's exactly what we've initiated over the course of the last 48 hours to understand exactly the relationship, the interrelationship between CAISO, between the CPUC and the California Energy Commission. Energy Commission, just to put it in language most of you can understand, does the forecasting in terms of our energy needs. ISO puts out criteria for what's necessary in order to meet that forecast, and the PUC fundamentally focuses on procurement. So it's a shared responsibility between those three agencies. None of us in the state of California are immune nor naive about the hot's getting hotter, the dry's getting drier, the wet's getting wetter. We have long recognized the consequences of climate change. We have long recognized it by also reconciling our responsibility as the largest state in the United States of America to do more and do better in terms of our low-carbon green growth future. We are committed to radically changing the way we produce and consume energy, and we are creating now and have more jobs in this green sector than we do in the fossil fuel space. So we see it as an economic imperative, and we see it as a moral and ethical imperative as it relates to the kind of world we're going to leave, the kind of state and nation we're going to leave to our kids and grandkids. And we are not backing off on that commitment, quite the contrary. But in the process of the transition, in the process of shutting down, understandably, the desire and need to shut down polluting gas plants, and a desire to go from old to the new, in that transition, and the need to shut those down, comes the need to have more insurance, comes the need to recognize that there have been, by definition, demonstrably, in the last few days, and what we expect over the next few days, gaps in terms of that reliability. We cannot sacrifice reliability as we move forward in this transition. And we're going to be much more aggressive in focusing our efforts and our intention in making sure that that is the case. We need to make sure that we have a demand response system and we have reliability that meets the expectations that we have all forecasted around issues of climate change and around the prospects that this is not the last, quote unquote, record-breaking historic heat dome and experience that we will have in the state or in this region or in this nation or in our hemisphere in our lifetime. Quite the contrary. This is exactly what so many scientists have predicted for decades. It's manifesting quite acutely here on the West Coast of the United States, also manifesting in droughts, not just wildfires, and not just the issue of concerns around high quality, cost, reliable energy for people that must have that support for their health, for our economic prosperity, and the like. So one thing I am certain of is that we will move forward with the kind of focus and diligence that's required of us to meet our responsibility head on, to guarantee protocols, processes, forecasting that's more sober around the potency of solar, what it means when there's higher humidity, as we've experienced, and the impact that has on solar, what it means as it relates to our broader portfolio mix, our interdependence with imports, our current protocols with exports of energy to West Coast states, and our capacity on storage in particular that substantially needs to be improved as technology is catching up. Our efforts need to be advanced in this space. But I am confident in our capacity to deal with that. And the reason I maintain that confidence is the work that we've been doing in the last year, particularly the work we have been doing with our largest public utilities in this country, the largest in the United States, PG&E, but the other utilities, to really map a future of reliability that looks very differently than today. And so we've been advancing goals We're now in the transition of that, and now we have to, I think, sober up to the reality that in this transition, we're going to have to do more and be much more mindful in terms of our capacity to provide backup and insurance. I am not pleased with what's happened. I take a backseat to no one, nor are you. And if you are just on the sidelines, I can assure you shouldn't be pleased with the moment that we're in here in the state of California. We'll get to the bottom of it, and that's why that investigation into what happens and its implications for the future will be done swiftly and immediately, and we will lay out in detailed terms what we're going to do to make sure this simply doesn't happen again. That's the certainty that we are committed to in this moment, obviously, of uncertainty that you have been put into. And so with that, I want you to know that is our resolve and our commitment, but it also is our request of you to help us mitigate this moment by doing what you can. And many of you are well aware, living in the West Coast of the United States, particularly here in California, flex alerts. They happen quite often, and flex alerts are nothing more than what you see up here on the screen. These are just encouraging you as an individual, as a business owner as well, to help participate. Sum total of individual actions in the aggregate is the total impact that we will have over the course of the next 72 hours to mitigate the impacts of de-energization that we're likely to experience this evening and tomorrow evening in particular. By setting your AC to 78 degrees between the hours of 3 and 10 p.m. to cool your homes and offices overnight and in the early morning, to close those drapes to make sure that the windows aren't open in the middle of the day at the peak of the heat. And also consider, to the extent you can, using major appliances in the off hours. Again, hours not 3 to 10, but before 3 p.m., after 10 p.m., though I recognize limitations of late night. But I also want to implore you, the impact of those decisions on washing machines, dryers, and dishwashers and the like, using those major appliances during those off hours can also help. And as I reminded my 2 kids this morning as they were waking up, as they walked out, turn off those lights when you walk out, something all of us can do just more generally. But all those things, these 4 things in particular, can really help us conserve energy and help us through this very challenging period of time. Let me now turn to another challenge that we have in the state of California related to the pandemic and COVID-19 and update you on what we have been discussing over the course of the last few weeks related to those backlog cases. We have adjudicated the positivity of over 295,000 cases that were in the backlog. We had a lot that were deduplicated, so we were able to get a new denominator, forgive me. Bottom line is we have 14,861 positive cases that we have put through our backlog. And as you know, we were able to clear out all of those backlog cases last week, and the numbers we presented last week include all of the numbers you see up on the screen. So when we did that, we also made a commitment to you to go back to the county monitoring list. Remember, this state, 58 counties. Each county has its own unique conditions, unique circumstances and challenges. Some parts of the state less impacted by COVID-19 than other parts of the state. So we put out a criteria and a watch list, what we call a monitoring list, and we update that on a consistent basis. We will also update you on those new counties that have entered on our monitoring list, and one county in particular that has dropped off the list as we brought each and every one of these backlog cases to a specific point in time so that we could update not only you on the positivity rates, update you exactly on the impact that's had within your respective county and the impact that has on the monitoring list. Here's what the rate looked like before this is the backup the backlog, but this is the positivity rate, what it looked like before we put in all of those backlog cases. You can see on the blue line, those of you that may be watching, where we were before the update, and the orange line is where we are post-update. It follows a similar trend. The numbers aren't precise, but they're not substantially off, 7.6 to 7.5 when you look back on July 25th, 7.2 versus 7% around the beginning of August. But bottom line is the trend line is as we asserted and as the hospitalization number and the ICU numbers suggested. And that's an encouraging sign, again, even when you include the positivity rate with the backup. You can get a closer look here. This looks more like an EKG chart than anything else, and this could confuse anybody, but you get a sense of, where we thought we were doing a little better when we announced a few weeks ago than we were, and it looked like when you start adding all those backlogs, we're looking a little worse. The bottom line is we're smoothing all of that, and we have reconciled all of that. So where does that leave us? If you add all the backlog cases over a 7-day average period, they're at 9,446. Typical case number when you add the backlog over a 7-day period. The numbers that we put out today are the latest numbers, 6,469 positive cases in this state. Those cases are high, but they are trending in the right direction. Let me be more specific and more precise. We are now averaging close to 134,000 tests every single day here in the state of California. 133,632 is our average 7-day daily number of tests we have conducted. The percentage of people that have been tested over the course of the last 14 days that have tested positive for COVID-19 is 6.5%. So our positivity rate over a 14-day period in the state of California is 6.5%. Accordingly, we've suggested this in the past and we've asserted it, but the positivity rate, again, stabilizing and moving broadly in the right direction, also connects the expectation that we'll see hospitalizations to continue to decline. The good news is they have been declining statistically, and as a consequence, we have experienced a 21% decline in hospitalizations over a 14-day period. So 6.5% positivity, all the backup numbers included, updated numbers on hospitalizations, down 21% over a 14-day period. By the way, we're now at 7% of our healthcare system capacity represented with COVID-19 positive patients, 7%. As it relates to ICU admissions, we are down 16% over a 2-week period. So again, hospitalizations as well as ICU admissions trending in the right direction. We now have, I think it's roughly 19%. In fact, let me confirm that it is 19% of our ICU admissions are represented with COVID-positive patients in our ICU healthcare capacity. But again, hospitalizations trending downward, ICU numbers now also trending downward along with the positivity rates here in the state. Let me update you on the monitoring list. Last monitoring list.
You've been watching Governor Newsom's coronavirus update and his update on the heat wave as well. Our coverage continues right now on CBSN Bay Area, streaming on KPIX.com. In case you missed it, the governor made it very clear that the level of power disruptions that many Californians saw over the weekend was unacceptable. He says the state fell short. Now they're working to reduce the stress on power grids through different strategies, especially as there will be a greater power need today and for the next couple of days. That includes an emergency proclamation that shifts energy consumption during peak hours. Governor Newsom has now shifted his focus back to the coronavirus fight. More live coverage of that right now on CBSN Bay Area.